I guess our main question is on like the MSTAR.
Okay.
If you go out to the websites,
There's
the
nothing
website,
that
there's
you
not
can
really,
see a lot, right?
it's not really, but it looks more like it's an assessment or it doesn't look like it's really a curriculum.
Okay, no. So let's back up.
Yeah.
The curriculum that they'll be using for your son will be the 6th grade curriculum. They'll be using that.
Oh, the 6th grade curriculum here at.
So, well, no, it's actually the Texas 6th grade curriculum.
Okay. So that would be, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I printed some stuff off the internet.
The focal points.
So it's to do all that, right?
It'll be, and yes, and this also, I also gave them access to the Common Core curriculum, which is the national curriculum.
Okay.
So they've got access to both, and we've kind of coordinated both of those because we want your kids to have the best of everything. Okay.
Okay.
The curriculum here is aligned to, I mean, they do the same things.
Okay.
But we will, I haven't gone all the way through the 6th grade book, but I was actually, did get to evaluate the books when they made the book selection here, and the purposeful design books are the ones that I recommended. And so I have even had a part in the curriculum that everybody's using here. I liked it because it had lots of real life examples and it was rigorous enough. Well, part of what we found last year was that the vocabulary level in it, which as a math person I didn't think much about at the time, is pretty strenuous. And so sometimes the kids get lost, especially kids with learning disabilities will get lost in all that vocabulary. And then lose the math. So let's
questions and all that kind of stuff.
Let's just pick a page, any page, and look at it. I mean, it's got lots of color, lots of real-life examples, great hands-on stuff in there, lots of manipulatives and stuff, but it's just the busyness of the page apparently is an issue for Will. It's too much on a... For wit. Wit. Thank you for correcting me, for wit. And so the correcting our... there's so much on there, it's too much to look at, too much to see. And there are lots of word problems, but just setting up the word problems tends to be a little strenuous sometimes just with the vocabulary.
Now, is this the book Covenant's using?
Yes, this Covenant's book, yes. Yes. And so what I recommended was that we look at the book, and this is the information that, I mean, this will be what's covered, and then some in some areas will stretch them just a little bit.
So when you say these are the teaks.
These are the teaks.
So maybe I need a definition, because in my mind, curriculum, and I may need to look up the definition of curriculum, is not just teaks. It's the materials and everything that go together to meet or to achieve meeting those teaks.
Right. Yes, and so if all we did was go through, okay, today we're going to do whatever number 1 is on there, and we hadn't prepared multiple ways to teach that, and I know they go to some great extent, like, okay, they didn't get it that way, Brenda, what do I do now?
Right.
And they've used me in that way. It's when they just can't, they have a student who just isn't getting it, what is another option? What can I do? So that's the goal. This is what we want all 6th grade students to learn by the end of the year. But how we get there is the book, it is the classroom activities, it's the discussion that happens between the students or the student and the teacher. It's an activity we do. It's all that has to be done to make it stick and to make it meaningful. And so if a child comes with any holes or even a difficulty to learn math, a lot of attitude sometimes is, I'm not good at math. I'm never going to do this. Yeah. And y'all have experienced that. And so we have to hit the kids where they're comfortable at the beginning, so they're not afraid of it and they know they can accomplish it. So part of the alternative stuff that I have provided for them is differentiated material, so that if we're teaching along and there comes a point when he to go back and go, okay, let's step back a ways and let's see, what if I showed it to you this way with our pie charts or with our arrays or with our aerial model. There's now lots of ways. They don't have to create that, and they don't have to go hunt it all up. That's what I've provided at their fingertips. So your son will actually get a much better hands-on instruction out here. He will get, he'll be able to have this concrete connection to the math that in the classroom they may just give the rules to add fractions, add the numerators, copy the denominator, we're done. Whereas there's a whole lot of development that can happen with stuff, with hands-on things, and that's a lot of what's going to happen out here. So when he learns how to add fractions, in his mind he's going to have this mental picture of how that works. He's going to know what it looks like, and then he's just going to translate that picture into the math symbol. That's the kind of additional curriculum stuff that she's going to use, that they'll be using out here, that they will not use in the classroom.
Okay.
Does that help?
That makes sense, that
Okay.
it supplements to the curriculum.
Mhm.
I'm still unclear that there's a set curriculum, though, because to me the TEKS are not the curriculum.
Oh, the TEKS are the curriculum.
Okay.
The TEKS are what?
So that's why I said I had to look up a definition of
yeah,
curriculum.
so the TEKS are the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. They are the student expectations. And
Right.
so by the end of the year, the goal is for WIT to be able to know how to do all of that. And so
That
in the
makes sense.
classroom, they'll do it a unit at a time, 10 problems, 20 problems at a time, and they'll practice a routine. Out here, the goal will be not to develop the routine first. The first thing we need to develop for him is the concept, very visually, very hands-on. So the routine is the consequence of what he's been doing, and then he won't forget the routine. And next year, from about half of it, if it's a typical 6th grade class in a typical school, about half of the students in that class next year will have to relearn how to add fractions, because it was a routine. They memorized for the test, and then we forget it. And so I know if you're a little concerned about the learning, he will be learning the same thing, but he will be learning it a different way. I contend it's a much better way.
I'm not concerned about the learning as much as, and I am very concerned, that if we ever were to change schools, I think it's real important that there's a set, so I'm not going to use the word curriculum, although I think of it still as curriculum,
Okay.
but a set textbook. Not saying you can't branch off and supplement a textbook curriculum. I feel concerned, not because it's not good,
Right.
but because we live in a world, known quantities, where if you go to another school, they say, what English did you learn? Well, okay, there's TEKS in English, but we still, I don't know in public schools what we do.
They don't use textbooks
No.
anymore.
Okay, do they
No,
not?
and
Okay.
they would give a placement exam before they would really ask you the curriculum. So they would say, well, what does he know with the placement exam?
And then place him in the appropriate math level.
Because as you get
from there.
higher,
right.
it's
right.
not like it's
Mhm.
4th grade, 5th
Right.
grade, 6th
Right.
grade. You are algebra, geometry, pre-algebra,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Well, and just so I'm not sure what I've taught in public schools for over 30 years. I've also tutored homeschool kids. My son goes to this school here, so I'm very comfortable with the private school world also. I will tell you, in the public school, there is no textbook anymore. In fact, the legislature went through and removed the word textbook from all funding, and now it's instructional material. Most publishers are creating a textbook that's very minor, but most schools don't even check out textbooks anymore. Many schools give their kids an iPad, and that is their book. That is their resource, because current information exists. More accurate current information exists at your fingertips than the book. Now, the nice thing about math is that math itself seldom changes. But in the last the teacher, practicing that, which is how I learned math, doing 30 problems every night and loving it. Some kids hate it, but that's how I learned math. That is not necessarily the way kids learn the math, how to think the math. And that's why we're really moving to a lot of this hands-on, a lot of concrete modeling before you get to the numbers, even all the way up to algebra and geometry now. They're developing that. And so, because they're finding that kids who do that will own the learning. So, but I hear your hesitancy. You want to be sure he's really doing 6th grade math.
And that to any other school we ever moved to, if we were, not that we're planning on it, but we don't know what.
You don't know what the
We don't know what
mobile,
life holds.
yeah, no.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, we could have a job layoff, or we don't know.
Exactly.
And I speak from experience because he was homeschooled his 2nd grade year. I'm a real structured person, so
Okay.
it wasn't an issue. But when you come into, because we visited 2 different, this school and another school, they're not comfortable just saying, well, he's done 2nd grade curriculum. Because trust me, I was doing 2nd grade curriculum.
Right. Prove it.
What
book or what
I was
Show me
pulling
his
from
projects.
all
Right.
over. We were doing journaling, and I was pulling from everywhere. But it was, no, we want to see, what did you use? Because we use Bob Jones, or we use Saxon, and because I was comfortable. I was like, no, I can pull you lots of stuff, and I can.
Right.
But I know that's what places look for, and so
Especially private schools.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially private schools, definitely. They want
And so
to know.
that's a concern we have, is that we want. I mean, no doubt that kid's a hands-on learner. I mean,
Okay.
absolutely,
Okay.
no doubt. I mean, am I wrong in saying
I
that?
think that's
You are
kind of what we
100%
discovered
correct.
last
He
year.
is
Gotta be.
kinesthetic all the time. I mean, any little test you would do.
So is your question, for instance, if he was to move to another Christian school, they would look at his records, and what would they do typically if they were to move to another Christian school and they were going to look at his math?
Most of them give a placement
Well, they
exam.
do give placement tests.
Right.
That is.
I'm not so sure that they're doing that here, but
We didn't have placement
No,
tests here, but
all the other
But
schools that I
many
test
we did
for,
another one. We
right,
did another
they
one.
do a placement
Legacy
exam.
did.
Legacy.
And
We
so
did a
those
math assessment
those are
and an
based
English
on the
assessment.
essential, the TEKS. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the other private school that we did do placement at, their math, they pulled.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No, it was from Saxon.
I
They
don't
pulled
remember,
it
yeah.
from their.
'Cause that's the math they
their
used.
textbook.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Their Saxon.
To
they
see if
did
he was
the
up with what their
Right.
They did.
kids.
They
in
did.
the
I
same
think
grade
they
were
even
doing,
told us
yeah.
exactly the one they were going to use, so that we were not using
Right.
Saxon. We were using something else.
And it's very routine oriented. It's memorized. It doesn't. The older Saxon books didn't even teach concepts in a unit together. They have reorganized some of their newer books so that it's not just one topic today, a new topic the next day, a new topic, and the spiraling is what people really like about that
Right.
because the routine stays fresh. But having taught through the back when it was called 5-6 or 6-5, I can't remember.
6-5.
6-5, and
Uh-huh.
then the 8-7, and then the pre-algebra and the algebra 1. For 2 years, I taught through all of those with kids. And then Willis ISD used the Saxon at the middle school for the last 3 years. And so when the kids would get to high school, what they found was not only did they not remember the routines, but they had no clue of the big ideas because none of the topics really all went together. So it was just a little bit, it's just little rules. And so